What is up? Welcome to Every Single Guitars, where the goal of this channel is to review every single guitar ever made. By the way, if you're interested in guitars, go check out my guitar channel. But for this video, this isn't about guitars. This is about a question that I got related to my major. So if you guys don't know, at USC, I majored in communications and journalism with a minor in business marketing. But a question that I've gotten, and this isn't even recently, this was when I was at community college too. This is a question that I was wondering myself, is communications major a joke? Is communications major kind of like a, easy major to get into colleges? A lot of people, they look down upon communications majors. They look down upon journalism. They say, oh, it's not STEM, it's not med school, it's not engineering. What do you do with a communications major? You just talk to people, blah, blah, blah. And those are all valid questions. Those are all valid points. I'll tell you what I think about that. So right off the bat, let me tell you about communications major, what I've experienced, what I've faced at USC as a student. So to be brutally honest, communications major is pretty boring, to be honest. There's a lot of theory, there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of essays. I'd say 80% of my communications courses, they all had some kind of essay, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe one big term essay project for the semester. I know my senior year, for my senior thesis, there was only one assignment, but that was basically your entire grade. And we basically had to choose one topic that we were interested in and write a hell of fucking long research paper and then do a 30-minute presentation. A 30-minute presentation. But for me, I prefer a 30-minute presentation over a 2-hour multiple choice exam test. So for me, it was chill. But communications major, I feel like it all depends on what your objective is and also where you go. But for me, before even applying to USC, I already had my blueprint already set out. My main goal wasn't to get into USC, as a communications major. It was to get into USC no matter what. I didn't care what major I chose. I didn't care if I went there for art, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to get into USC first. And then once I got in, now I can make, my decisions, whether what career path I want to go to, what major I choose. But, if you're in community college, you have to choose some kind of major because you got to gear your classes towards the major you choose. After doing a lot of self-reflection, I realized that I'm a very business-minded person. So like I've said in my other videos, my goal was to get into USC as a communications major. And then once I got in, minor in business. So basically I can get the best of both worlds, the business side and also the journalism and communication side. Communications, I feel like it all depends on where you go. USC is the #1 communication school in the nation. Maybe one or two. I feel like it's in between USC or Northwestern, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe NYU, I'm not sure. But there's a big difference between going to a #1 school for a joke communications major versus going to communications major at a state school or some other school. It all depends on where you go. It's the same thing for any other major. You can be an engineer at a local state school, which is fine, but also you can be an engineer at Caltech or MIT or Berkeley. Same engineer major, but completely different playing field. Before I got into USC, I was like, communications, whatever, I don't know. But once I got into USC and saw their communications program, I saw the Annenberg Media Center, I realized how seriously they took this entire field. Because communications, people don't really know too much about what it really is. When I was a student, I've gotten questions, what do you do as a communications major? It was pretty hard for me to answer the questions. What do I say? Oh, it's a lot of writing, a lot of reading, a lot of essays, but there was so much more than that. There was directing. I took classes on producing, which I released a video about Kobe versus MJ. That was part of communications. You know, there was filming, you know, I had to go on site and do interviews, stuff like that. So the major of communications is very broad. It's not just one thing. So that's something you got to keep in mind. Are you interested in entertainment? Are you interested in producing, directing, maybe even acting? Are you interested in the news, you know, radio? That's all part of communications. It's a very broad field. So for me, I have no regrets going this route. You know, when people ask me, what major are you? I say communications very proudly. I have no regret. I have no embarrassment about that. I know some people are embarrassed to talk about their majors. You know, if you're a part of the humanities majors like English or communications or history, you know, some people get very ashamed and embarrassed to, you know, tell people that, but I don't really understand. I mean, didn't you choose that major? Like, I don't understand what the problem is. But for those of you guys who are hesitant to choose the communications major because of, oh, it's a bullshit major, I feel like for those, don't choose communications. You know, if you're embarrassed about that, don't choose it. But for me, once I got into USC, saw the opportunities and saw the technology and the teachers and the quality of the professors, I was like, yo, this communications thing is pretty damn good. Even the stuff that I'm doing right now, you know, YouTube, directing, producing, you know, my guitar channel, you know, reviewing, stuff like that is all related to communications. You know, maybe at school I gave a 30-minute presentation, but on YouTube, online, I'm making a 20-minute video or a 10-minute video. It's the same thing. It's just a different platform. And I think because of a lot of the essay writing, a lot of the presentations and speeches I had to do, that prepared me a lot for the things that I want to do right now, such as making this video. So I say that for those who are interested in communications, definitely check it out, but go to USC for it, or NYU, or Northwestern. Basically try to go to a school that's top 10 or 15 within that major, and I think you'll be pretty good.